Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome inside the broadcast booth. My name is Brian Wright, National Keynote Speaker and CEO of New Patient Group. I want to welcome you into this webinar about how to operate your practice like a high-level business, functioning like the top 1% in order to skyrocket your practice growth. What we're going to talk about today are 7 disconnects between the top 1% and the 99%. There's 7 significant disconnects. There's a lot more, and what we're going to talk about today, literally each topic could be a 3-day presentation. Could go into hours upon hours of information about this stuff. But we're going to condense it down to try to get through it and also show you a little bit on how you group all this together and grow your practice at the highest possible level. So those 7 disconnects. The first one, today's consumer versus healthcare. What's proven to grow organizations at record levels versus what healthcare does. What is viewed as production versus what production actually is. What is viewed as training versus what training really is. Consumer buying tendencies versus how money is presented inside the practice environment. What is viewed as a goal versus what a goal actually is. And the statistics that have always been tracked inside the practice environment versus statistics that need to be tracked and aren't. Those are what we're going to dive into today. Consumer versus healthcare. Let me ask you guys a question. Consumers can choose you, they can choose somebody else, or they can choose nobody at all. And everybody we've ever asked that question to, everybody always says D, all the above. And when you say D, you are agreeing that you are a B2C business, a business-to-consumer operation, with consumers that can choose you, somebody else, or nobody at all. Therefore, you are also admitting that you have to be a consumer expert, because if you're not, you will never reach the top 1%. It's not possible. Does it mean you can't be successful? Of course not. But again, what we're all about with New Patient Group is teaching you the way the top 1% does it, both in healthcare and in the commercial environment, the Apples of the world. If Steve Jobs looked at your practice and the business components within, what would he tell you to do to grow it? That's what we're all about. So if you agree D, then you also agree with this quote from a famous Scott Cook. A brand is no longer what we tell the consumer it is. It's what the consumer tells each other it is. See, guys, it only matters what the consumer says about your business. If you think you're the best clinician on the planet, that's great. Unfortunately, it does not matter. It only matters what the consumer thinks and what the consumer is talking to other people about. That's all that matters. It's a consumer-driven marketplace, and healthcare is part of that. It's no longer a patient, it's a consumer. Now, consumer buying behavior, you, me, everybody. All of our brains, this is based on biology, all of our brains go through a 3-step process whenever we're going to purchase something or if we're going to refer somebody. You have to first understand it, then only at that time can you value it, and only at that time will your brain convince itself you can afford it. Or will your brain convince yourself that you are going to refer somebody. The facts are the consumer buying behavior is the sum total of the consumer's attitudes, preferences, intentions, and decisions regarding the consumer behavior in the marketplace when purchasing a product or service. And because you answered that previous multiple choice question, D, this falls in to your practice. And it's why we're able to grow practices at the level we do, because it's the consumer expertise that is lacking in the healthcare environment. Because the consumer mindset, only 50% of people even visit a dentist. Now, that's included in the specialties. So if you're an orthodontist, don't go, it doesn't apply to me. It does. That's the whole dental profession. Now, that source is dental economics, not us. We've done our own studies, and as low as 30% spend money at one. So you're looking at a 70% marketplace that doesn't even spend money at a dentist. You're looking at very specific buying habits that consumers have that are presented and done the opposite inside the healthcare environment. We're very close with our clients, and when they see that, they're like, whoa, why didn't I think of that before? Because a lot of the things, we're going to talk about one of the disconnects today later on in the presentation, but one of the things is the fact that the way consumers view things and the way they buy is usually the complete opposite of how things are presented inside the healthcare environment. It's actually quite strange when you dive into the details. Customer service. Customer service means something very differently to the consumer than it does the healthcare environment. Because remember, consumers, almost all, are commercial. They're not clinical. So they expect and demand something completely different than what healthcare professionals are trained to provide. Healthcare professionals did not go to school to learn 5-star customer service training. And that is not an insult or a criticism whatsoever. It's just to bring to light all the commercial components inside your practice. 90% of it is commercial, carried out by a team that did not go to school for those commercial skills. So they end up doing it however they do it. And it affects the way the consumer views healthcare and your treatment acceptance, numbers, referrals, etc. The rest of what you see on the screen is all biology: reciprocity, scarcity, effective frequency. It's things that motivate consumers to do things for you and buy without even knowing they're doing it. We implement a lot of those things into practices because they're absent from practices. And when you implement them, all it does is engage the consumer at a higher level, therefore they buy at a higher level.